Hello, I'm Nelson Liu and welcome to Western Perspective. This week, the flu season is upon us and we're being urged to protect ourselves by getting vaccinated. The state government has this week expanded its community pharmacy vaccination program from ages 5 and up to encourage people to get vaccinated this winter. I spoke to Australian Pharmacy Guild WA branch president Andrew Nyo about the significance of getting the jab ahead of the flu season.
We've already seen the case of influenza increase in the eastern states, and from all reports out of the northern European winter, it's not a good season at all. Not that there's ever a good season with influenza, but we urge everybody to get vaccinated as soon as they can.
How important is it to get the flu vaccine?
In 2019, pre-COVID, we saw an 800% increase in fatalities due to the influenza virus. So it is very, very important that everybody gets themselves vaccinated. That's the best way to protect yourself.
Given that there are a lot of old people that are susceptible during this time, how important is it for them to get vaccinated?
It's important that everybody gets vaccinated, but without doubt, the elderly are the most vulnerable within our populations. So they should get themselves and they must get themselves vaccinated.
And given that there's a lot of complacency among young people about vaccinations, how important is it for them to be vaccinated despite worries about vaccinations in general?
It is without doubt the best way to protect yourself against influenza is to get vaccinated. So the converse of that is complacency kills.
And finally, what's your message to the WA public?
We have seen what happens when you don't get yourself vaccinated, whether that be COVID or influenza. So we've done really well with the COVID vaccine. Now it's our turn to turn our attention towards the influenza vaccine. Please get yourself vaccinated.
And now, here's AMA WA spokesman Dr. Andrew Miller with his weekly COVID-19 update and commentary.
Hi, thanks for your time. Really important phase of the pandemic as we're bumping along on this plateau. We've got around 250 patients in hospital in WA, around 80 in ICU, and unfortunately some people dying, of course. That's what happens with this disease when it infects enough people, even in a highly vaccinated population, which has saved us from the worst of what we've seen in other countries and over east, but still can't save everybody. And it's really important that we reduce the spread of disease if we can. And it's not just to reduce the burden on the hospitals. We don't want people going to hospital in the first place because that entails a lot of suffering for them, as we've seen in the Premier's family recently. Even when things turn out really well, and thank goodness they did in their case, it's still a very stressful time for children, for adults, for everybody. Nobody likes to be sick or see a loved one go through things like this. So one of the simplest ways of reducing the spread of the disease, as we know, is through mask wearing, and we're going to see the mandates coming off. And what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean that it's safe. It means that there's enough capacity within the healthcare system and within the community to deal with a higher level of disease if that's what happens. Now, this is not just a one and done problem, this disease. It's not like you get it, you get away with it, and then you're going to be fine. There are problems associated with getting it, including long COVID is a possibility, as well as increased risk of other diseases over time. Now, I'm not wanting to be pessimistic about all of this. I think that we've done really well, but what we do need to do is the really easy, simple things, which would be, for example, just wear a mask when you go to the supermarket. Sure, it's not compulsory anymore, but it might prevent you catching the disease or you unknowingly, because you're symptom-free, giving it to somebody else. So I think that there's a lesson here that the government is transferring the burden of responsibility from themselves onto the rest of the population. It's to be expected at this stage of the pandemic with the vaccination rates where they are. And I think that people just need to understand that that doesn't mean that the risk has gone away. Just because it's not illegal to smoke cigarettes, for example, in your own home, doesn't mean that it's a great idea. So the example that I'm using there is one which actually has some relevance to workplaces. It used to be that you could light up in your workplace and you'd be fine doing that, but now there's the rules against that, and that's because other people, as well as yourself, can become sick and injured from it. And that's why I would say that if you're in a situation where you can avoid the illness or the possible complications of COVID by simply wearing a mask and by having clean air wherever you are, filtering the air if you need to, windows open if you can, then it's good for your health, good for your family's health. Thanks very much for your time. Stay safe.
And that's WP for this week. We'll be back again next time, but for now, it's back to you, Ivan and Melly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nelson. And here is Leo with what's coming up on 6 News tonight.
Thanks, guys. Tonight on 6 News, the nation approaches the halfway point of the election campaign with the opposition leader in isolation. We'll update a list of candidate resignations and disendorsements. Plus, Anzac Day is set to be marked with the return of traditional commemorative services and marches as restrictions ease, but there will be varying COVID protocols depending on where you live. And a 6 News exclusive, we speak to the person who confronted the Prime Minister over climate change, who says she just wanted to ask him about her concerns as Scott Morrison is accused of running away from his responsibilities. You can see full details on those stories and plenty more by heading to our YouTube channel. Just search 6 News Australia to find us, or head to our website 6newsau.com. For now, guys, it's back to you.
Thanks, Leo. And that's our weekly news and current affairs. We have the latest news on our website, wamnnews.com.au.
Don't forget to subscribe to WAMN Extra News Club so we can continue our work in the community. Full details on wamnews.com.au/news/extra. From Melly and myself, wish you good health, good night. See you next Sunday.
Thanks for watching.